Did you know that since potatoes and tomatoes are in the same family, that you can merge them together with grafting to create one plant that produces potatoes underneath the ground and tomatoes on the top? Well, today I'm going to have a go at creating one of these tomatoes or tomtatoes, and I'll share with you the whole process right through to the end. And who knows, if this all works out, maybe I'll be able to make my own ketchup and fries from ingredients grown all on the same plant. So to start this project, we need a tomato plant and a potato plant, so let's get those sorted first. So here I've got some tomato seeds and I'm sowing these into some seedling trays in early spring. After a few weeks I had a bunch of little tomato plants coming up and I just kept them growing indoors by a sunny window while it was still a bit cold outside to plant. Once they had started to outgrow the seed trays, I potted them up so they could get a bit bigger before I planted them out in the garden when the weather was warmer. Here I've got a few seed potatoes, two different types, and I've left these in a bright place so they could start to sprout, and you can see the sprouts coming out there. It's late spring now and these grow really quickly, so they should easily catch up to the tomato plants that I started a few months ago. I'm planting them pretty much as deep as I can in these small pots, using a mix of compost and potting mix, and there is a reason why I've used these small pots for now, and you'll see why in just a little bit. Alright, now that we've got the plants ready, it's time to graft them together. We do need some clean tools for this, so I'm using some methylated spirits to clean the secateurs and grafting knife. And you don't have to use a grafting knife, you can just use a Stanley knife or box cutter instead, as long as it's nice and sharp. Okay, so what we need to do is take some cuttings from the tomato plants that are about the same thickness as the stem of the potato plants. The tomatoes have gotten really bushy and need a good prune anyway, so I'm finding some suckers or side shoots that are a suitable size for the grafting. I'm now just removing most of the leaves off the cutting because the more leaves you have, the faster the cutting will lose moisture, dry out and potentially die. So I'm just making sure I leave the growing tip intact at the top. Okay, so with the grafting, let's cut this potato plant off at a point that matches the same thickness of our cutting. And I would recommend doing this in a shaded area away from the wind. Now we're going to slice down the middle of the stem a few centimetres deep. Now using the tomato cutting, I'm just doing a long angled cut on both sides to create a V that's about the same length as the slice that we made in the potato stem. It might take a few goes to get it to the right shape, so don't worry if you need to do multiple cuts. It definitely took me a few goes to get it right. Now we can just push the tomato plant into the potato stem, and since we have the same thickness, it should line up on both sides, but if it doesn't, just focus on making sure one side lines up really well, with the outer part of the stem staying flush. Last thing I'm doing is just wrapping it in some grafting tape to hold it tightly together, and I'm just wrapping it around nice and secure. You can also use like a grafting clip instead to hold these together, but I figured the tape should give a bit of extra protection from the graft drying out.